+1 flaming.
Yeah.
And it acts as though it has a light spell when it's out of its scabbard.
Get it, kill it.
All the time. Can't be turned on or off.
+1
I'm
flaming
surprised he didn't steal that
and
to match his corset.
light constant.
These weapons are icky.
But it glows and it's fiery.
This
Matches.
rate of protection is that a natural armor? That's deflection.
Deflection.
Okay, so I want to
Man,
know
is that
what it
a +3 weapon then? It's got flaming +1
Yes.
and the light, or is the light not a
The
enchantment?
light isn't technically an enchantment.
Okay.
It is, but it isn't.
Like
It's
permanence.
not a-
Bing!
Yeah. It's not part of the weapon enchantment. It's
Right.
been enchanted otherwise.
Yeah.
This one.
Item ET48. I don't know if that was.
That was the scimitar.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I put glowing scimitar and then below it item ET48.
Sell it to Jory.
Yeah, you could probably.
Hmm.
All of your
Ever-burning
gold for the rest of the time.
I don't think that this is good enough. I don't think he's good enough for this weapon. I'm not gonna give him any money, but I'm gonna have him look at my other sword. Like, what do you think about this? What does this look like to you?
I don't know, guys. Have you seen how many rakers got on?
Just looking at it, you can see that he's kind of drawn back. And he kind of draws you off of just like beyond my ability.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Just go to the temple and just sit and pray. Tell me what this is. Tell me. Come on.
Brady.
I'll take my
Erroneous.
curse back if you tell me what this is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No. No. All right now.
It has a penance.
I don't have anything.
What about roll spot?
Rolling a spot.
I know everything.
Bam. What is that, an 18? Nope, that's 10. Spot. Wisdom. Not a dump stat. 10.
Do you know about the console? I'm gonna tell him about what the
Console.
priest guy
Console
told
stuff.
us. You're with us too, right?
I'm
You already know this information.
Yeah,
Is everyone at the magic shop?
I've heard that
I'm
too.
not at the magic shop.
I'm not.
I'm
Oh.
looking up. I'm
I
out in
thought-
the city searching.
Oh,
I'm
Like
at
looking through the
robot.
bazaar.
you're with him.
Yeah.
Is
gonna
anybody
look
else at the magic
around.
shop right now?
I'm gonna
Oh, hey!
browse the magic shop.
Consul guy needs help. We're gonna help him.
Oh, when? Someone was like, well, I'm fine for helping, but we got things we have to do.
Well,
first."
yeah, I'm not saying right this second.
No.
We need to
What
go
kind of help?
help. With stuff. The temple told me that they need dire help with things. and stuff.
Jordan,
It's
I'm
a
gonna
holy
browse the magic
quest,
shop, see
okay?
if there's
Stuff and
anything that I
things.
might like.
Jordan was like, well, we just got done helping people. I don't want to help anymore. I want to go to the alehouse.
Go
It has
drink.
some-
It's fine.
It's gonna happen. And this bastard's coming with me because he's got my fucking money.
And then Howard will just
Why aren't you
money
carrying
at
your
him.
own money?
Huh?
Why aren't you carrying your own money?
It's probably for the best.
I don't care.
300
How much
gold
is one
pieces.
beer? 2 gold pieces? Here's 50.
Just bag of gold on the counter.
I'm drinking tonight.
The way you're gonna increase your stuff is pretty much gonna be magical stuff at this point. So you're gonna get magical robes or no, not rubbing your nipples. That doesn't help.
That does help.
You know, it's every time.
Oh, you know what I mean?
Increases your AC.
It just made me think of something. I was thinking about. Interestingly enough, this is just. I just searched Ever-Burning Torch value. And, so to make Ever-Burning Torches, this is just one example of how the D&D economy doesn't work. A 4th level wizard with an effective intelligence of 22. That doesn't mean your intelligence has to be 22. It just has to be effective when you're casting the spell.
Okay.
Could make 4 a day. They cost 50 gold each to make and sell for 1,000 gold pieces.
Talk about making bank.
I dumped it all.
That sounds like
All that crap.
a business Rob needs to get into.
Yeah, the future for Rod there.
I mean, the thing is eventually everybody has ever-burning torches, and your
And the
market
value
runs up.
drops.
Also, that's misuse of magic, which may upset certain deities.
You get hit by a lightning bolt for 40 d6 damage.
You may just get teleported to a plane and said, no. So, Kevin, I'm assuming you said you were going to the council chambers.
Yes.
Are you finding anybody else?
Remember the torture.
I mean, I'm with them.
We're gonna.
Is Robot coming with?
Are you guys gonna come with?
Where you are. I'm
Yeah,
looking for
he's not with us.
something
They're not
else.
with
yeah.
us.
I'm just saying, are you going to find anybody else?
We're gonna head that way, and if we see them, we'll tell them where we're going.
Well, we'll assume that at some point or another you bump into most people. You come to it. The council building is a large stone structure. It looks like it was probably a keep at some point. While wandering around the city, also, Ross, I forgot to tell you. I'm sorry, you had asked for a map.
Yep.
The city is kind of concentric walls. How it's been expanding. So there's just wall, and they're of varying quality. You can kind of tell how the city
So
has
it gets-
prospered.
Gets more higher class towards the
Yep,
center.
yep. And that's not true down at the docks. It's very well off at the docks. Although the area where the ships are being built, you can see it from the high spots in the city, is all cordoned off currently, but you can tell it's very busy. You enter the council chambers and enter a room, and there is a clerk at the far side of the desk. And upon your arrival, the clerk just says, "What are your purposes coming to the council chambers?"
We were sent by the Temple of Heronius saying that you needed help.
Fair, fair. First, we have to answer some questions before you can meet with somebody. Where did you come from?
Afar.
What I'm from Lumea. We were from Lumea. That is the original city that we were from.
Commodore says the road is mild from the origin.
Fair, fair. Where have you traveled from recently?
West.
Do we have a note to deliver to someone?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do have a. We have a.
A missing.
We came from the village, the farming village, and we have a note from the other king that.
Hold. So you've
escapes.
come from the west.
Yes.
Yes.
The council will want to hear of this.
I said
He stands
west.
up and steps through the door behind him. And he's only gone for a few moments. And upon his return, he says, "The council members are present and would like to speak with you with most haste," and directs you to the door.
Okay, let's go.
Alright.
You step inside the council chambers, and there are 4 men and a woman seated along the far end of a large oblong oak table. Chairs stretch the remainder of the table, and the man at the head of the table,
Doesn't get paid as much.
once you step in, says, "Please sit. Can I offer you refreshments?"
Yeah.
Sure, I would like some water.
Water would be fine.
Beer for Jorgendal.
Water?
I'm pious, all right.
You guys
What?
got Coca-Cola?
One of the counselors gets up and steps out of the room to go get your refreshments, and he says, "Please tell your tale of how you got here."
Tell him.
We
Okay.
leave this
You're
hotel
gonna-
to
exactly.
the
You're
bar.
You're gonna share exactly what happens.
Yep.
Once you reach 8 silos, the council members start to kind of, it's obvious, and they're kind of whispering to one another, and then the man at the head of the table and stops you. "My apologies for interrupting, but this story sounds familiar. I'd like you to meet someone else who arrived from the West under strange circumstances." And with that, he gets up and steps through a different door.
Wizard time.
He returns, and a patroller comes with him. And the patroller whispers something to him. And then the man returns to the table. You wait for a few moments, and the patroller escorts in a man.
John Cena.
The man is wearing battle-scarred leather armor. He has very shaggy brown hair, shaggy growth beard, and a nasty scar above his left eye. And he eyes you warily from the head of the table standing next to the man.
Do I recognize him?
Do I recognize him?
Okay, you guys all rolled. Nobody recognizes him. It's not anybody you've seen before.
Okay.
Does he smell familiar?
And the man at the head of the table kind of nudges him and says, "Go ahead, tell them about your journey." And the man kind of snaps to attention, obviously military. And he says, "Yes, sir. My story begins in the southwest as part of a scouting regiment in King Dane's 2nd Army. We were losing ground regularly, but we continued to harass the enemy there. hoping to allow the time to regroup with his first army and counterattack. As time went on, we lost more and more ground, and we were pinned on the edge of the kingdom, up against the mountains. Evidently, Shackleton knew we were on our last legs and mounted a major assault against us. We held for several days, but eventually the defensive lines crumbled, and the regiments were scattered. I fled south, away from the battle, into the mountains, hoping to avoid the monsters that had become so prevalent there. But shortly after entering the mountains, I was greeted by a band of kobolds, and they were definitely ready to kill me. However, one kobold stepped forward, said something in their bastard barking tongue to the rest of the group, and the kobolds separated down the middle. I cautiously made my way through the gap, suspecting it was a trap, but knowing that I would die should I turn and return to the hordes of Lord Shackleton. But the kobolds did allow me passage, and I traveled east. My hope was to join the forces at the garrison on the east-west road, but by the time I arrived, it was completely destroyed. Strangely, there was only dead orcs remaining in the ruins, which raised my spirits in hopes that this meant King Dane still held these lands and had sent a force to crush the orcs. Sadly, upon my arrival at 8 Silos, I knew immediately that this was not the case, as the only living creatures I could see from the ground surrounding the city wore the black crest of Lord Shackleton. I tried to move north, but as I approached the northern road, Lord Shackleton's forces were everywhere, and I found myself on the old road through the eastern pass. Although it was unused, there were no longer communities on the other side of the pass, and I guessed it was my best chance of survival. As I traveled the pass, I found bodies of goblins along the road, and eventually came to an old fortress. It appeared empty as I approached, and when I finally got inside, all I could find were the remains of goblins and ogres. I spent several nights at the fortress, regaining my strength, and continued west. After a few days in the wild, I came to the edge of the great forest and headed north, in hope of finding my way back to the north road. Instead, I was greeted by armed elves that took me to their village. Although I was never truly a prisoner, I sure felt like one, until I was finally escorted to an odd human. He wore robes of gray, and a hood hid his face, but I felt strangely compelled to trust him. He told me my coming was expected, and that would be far too slow for me to travel to Goldenwood Delta along the North Road. Instead, he offered to use his magic to transfer me here, as long as I would deliver a message to someone for me. He then gave me a scroll case, and a name, C. Ulborn, and a message. I know of your past, but it must remain hidden for now. With that, there was a great flash, and when I could see again, I was here at the council chambers, at the point of guard swords. With that, the man at the head of the table nods at him, says, "Go. Rest once more. Your journey has been extremely exhausting, and you have seen and heard much." And the man turns and leaves. Then the man at the head of the table begins to speak again. "While I'm willing to bet that you all know much of this tale, I feel that what is most curious is the missive that was sent by this magic user." Then he turns to you, Kevin. "I trust you are indeed this C. Ulborn that this missive was intended for. As such, I relay it to you and you alone to read in private. Once you've finished, you can feel free to discuss it with whomever you like, but rejoin us here in the meeting chambers and share what you will." And he points to a chamber on the side of the room. "Through that door is a small chamber, a study for the counselors that meet here in private. Take the scroll case there and peruse its contents. And invite whomever you choose to join you when you are finished. We will await your return." With that, he gives you a scroll case with this scroll.
Doop, doop, doop. Level up.
Before the shaggy dude leaves, Tomadro runs up to him and grabs his hand. "Did you see Ronaldo? Tell me of this kobold!"
He kind of eyes you warily. It's obvious that he's still quite exhausted. And the head counselors, kind of, please give him his time. There will be plenty of time for questions in the days to come.
Turns back to Jorgendal. "He's saw Ronaldo!" Tears coming down his eyes. "He's alive!
And he's leading
share
his
with
own
Baldo?
band of kobolds now.
He's doing right by us!"